Hey, God bless you, everyone out there. I wanted to share some quick thoughts, kind of sparked from the discussion centered around the Deliverance movie on Netflix. And I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on the subject of deliverance itself. Initially, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna watch it or not, but I seen so many different videos, the mixed reviews and all that. So I decided, you know what, let me watch it and perhaps jump in the conversation. And my takeaway, I think my big takeaway from it was number one, I looked at it, with the lens of, okay, this is Hollywood, so Hollywood's gonna do what Hollywood's gonna do. But I can appreciate the movie itself to spark the interest in conversation on deliverance. And one of the things it did for me, I began to think about Jesus and his ministry. And not only did Jesus bring healing, and we saw him do miracle work in healings, but a big part of his ministry was deliverance. And we see that in what he did for the man who had a legion of demons in him. And I started to think about that encounter and what developed from that encounter. Number one, Jesus delivered that man and set him free, because prior to that, just if you are familiar with the story at all, prior to that, he was, demon possessed, lived in the tombs, isolated. He was tormented. He would be naked. He was not in his right mind, like all this stuff. And, people just kind of left him be. But when he encountered Jesus, he was set free and delivered. And the scriptures say he was clothed and in his right mind. And ironically enough, those same people that knew him beforehand, when they saw him normal and set free, that scared them. So much so that they asked Jesus to leave. They didn't want no parts of that because, they saw real power that was demonstrated and displayed. And what I love about that is this man wanted to follow Jesus. He wanted to, follow his ministry. He was so grateful and appreciative. But Jesus, he's always so forward thinking. He charged that man. He said, no, what I want you to do is to stay back, go back to your family and your community and tell them the great things that God has done for you. Because Jesus knew that over time, when they would see him, that they would be more open and receptive to what had happened to him. Because, why did he come? He came to save and seek that which was lost, right? He wishes that no one should perish. But it did get me to thinking that the movie Deliverance, the way it was portrayed and filmed, we know it was inspired by true events. But it was very raw and unfiltered. There was language and things of that nature, but that is deliverance. Deliverance is not glamorous. Deliverance is messy. Deliverance is very raw, unfiltered, and uncomfortable. So I wrote down a few notes that I wanted to share with you, just my thoughts and reflections on it. After watching the movie, I was struck by its portrayal of deliverance and the spiritual battle that often takes place behind the scenes of our lives. What I appreciated most was how it captured the intensity of spiritual warfare and the reality that deliverance is not some glamorous, pretty process. It is not. Deliverance is raw. It's uncomfortable. I believe that's why so many people shy away from it. Why at times they are afraid, right? Afraid of its exposure that it brings. Because let's face it, true deliverance requires us to confront the things we've hidden, the things that hold us captive, whether it's past trauma, generational issues, or even demonic oppression. Deliverance isn't about having a neat, clean moment. It's about peeling back the layers and bringing everything to the light. And that's not always easy to face. But here's the beauty. While it's not pretty, it's necessary for healing. It's necessary for breakthrough. I think the movie did a good job of showing that spiritual freedom comes at a cost. It's not always instant. It's not always comfortable, but it is possible, right? Through Christ Jesus. And I want to encourage anyone listening or watching this, do not be afraid. Don't fear deliverance. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but in the end, it brings freedom like nothing else. And so those are just my thoughts. I thank you for listening to my review and my reflections on it. If you haven't already, go, if you're in need of deliverance, let me just put it this way. If you're in need of deliverance, I encourage you to call out to God, to cry out to him, to pray, and ask him to deliver you and set you free. So until next time, my friends, thank you for your time. And as always, go in faith and go with God. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.